Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and out here at the ADL shop. And I thought this might be interesting, a video on how to replace a clutch in a semi and what it takes. This is a Kenworth t680, and this driver, I drove it the other day. We had to take it for an alignment, and when I was coming back from the alignment shop, I took off from a stop sign. He complained about it a few months ago. I think that the clutch was getting a little worn or something. And the other driver, he went in and adjusted it. I don't know if you guys know how to adjust an automatic clutch. It's not hard. All you do is just take the pedal, depress it 5 times. You depress the pedal 5 times in a row. That actually advances the clutch and it resets it. He did that, and he crawled out there and looked at it, and he thought, it was fine. It still had room, to go and stuff. And then I drove it the other day, and I took off from a stop sign, and it was like 3rd or 4th gear I took off from. And when I gave it a little bit of gas, you could hear the clutch slipping. So I got back here, I looked underneath, and the wear tab on the self-adjusting clutch was actually right at the E on replace. So this driver is on vacation, I think it is right now. And so the truck's just sitting here. Good time to do a clutch. So I had ordered a new clutch, and I need to get this clutch pulled tonight. And I need to get the flywheel off. And when I get when I get the flywheel off, then I can go Betty Bye tonight. And I got to get it to Fleet Pride first thing in the morning so that maybe you can get resurfaced tomorrow. Because if you're going to put a new clutch in, you resurface flywheel. Never put a new clutch in with an old flywheel. Not a good idea. So, step 1 of doing this, I'll show you how I do it and how I've learned over the years and kind of how to set it up. It's kind of like painting, if you want to think about this. And I kind of think of more things like this now that my body is a little bit more hurt and stuff, how to make things easier. But I've done this for a while. The first step in doing something like this, if you're going to remove the transmission, you want to have the transmission jack. It has a certain angle to the truck, the way it's sitting, everything. You put the transmission jack in there at that angle to match it, and you lift the transmission out, roll it back. You want to have that same angle from when you remove it to when you put it back in. Because if the angle changes, something changes, it can be a bear. So it's like painting. A little bit of prep in the beginning makes things a lot better. So the first thing I always do is I block the rear suspension. See how there's the wood blocks underneath there on the frame rails to the axle? That way, as the truck sits here, it's going to be here for 2 days. So it's going to lose air. And if it loses enough air and the airbags start to deflate, that's going to change the angle of how the truck is sitting. Because the front's not going to change. There's no airbags up there, but the rear will fall. So it will change the angle, and that's going to change the angle of the motor and the way it's sitting, which will in turn change the angle of the transmission. Pretty easy to do that. Just air it up before you tear it down. Got a cough. And then put a couple blocks underneath there till you get to where it is. And then just pull off your leveling valve arm. Pull that off. Push it down. It will raise up the suspension bags. Put the blocks underneath there. Put it back together. It drops down on the blocks. This cannot lower anymore. So all the air can leak out now. And that is not going to change. The angle is going to stay the same. The other thing in that step is to put blocks under the cab. See how there's wood blocks underneath the cab there, keeping it up. That cab is up as high as it possibly can go right now. And the reason why is because you're going to see later when I go up underneath there, you're going to have to go up on top of it. You got to go in between a frame rail and the back of the transmission and go up on top. And you got to remove a bunch of hoses. You got to take the shifter off and stuff. It's a lot easier if the cab is up as high as possible to get up in there. So same thing, the leveling valve is up behind on this one here on this truck here. The leveling valve is back behind here, and you can see there's no air on there because I did a leveling valve. And I did the same thing. I pulled on the leveling valve. I raised the cab up as high as it would go to extend. I put wood blocks underneath there, reconnected the leveling valve, and it came down maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch onto those wood blocks. Now when I need to take those wood blocks out, I'll push the leveling valve up, raise the cab up to the next 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, pull the pull wood blocks out. So that's the first step I always do. Now this truck is stationary. It cannot go anywhere. And then I usually run it up on ramps. And the last one we did, the other mechanic came up with this idea, and I thought it was a good idea. Because usually we'll put the ramps the other way and drive it up onto the ramps. So we get a little bit height, so we can, you know, have a little more room to work under there. But then the ramps, they were sticking back here. And then when we go up underneath the truck, you're struggling with those, you know, because the ramps are there. So they're kind of in the way. He was like, dude, we should put them backwards. I thought that was a pretty good idea. So that's what I did, is I drove the truck out far, and then I put the ramps up, and then I backed up onto the ramps. Now they're out of the way. I can just go up underneath here. And with the roll cart, nothing obstructed me. And be able to get in and out as I need to grab tools and everything. All right, guys. So we got to remove this part of the drive line. And this is it's a 1/2-inch 12-point socket. There's gonna be 4 bolts. I'm just gonna loosen it right now. So we need to get ready. Do not want to remove this without being ready, because that's going to come down. So I'm using my handy dandy rope. A lot of people like to criticize me on that could break. This is my handy dandy rope. I like my handy dandy rope. And you just go up over the frame rails. So like so. I think that I'm going to be able to leave this pipe in. I don't know. I might be able to. Because a lot of times you have to remove the exhaust pipe, especially with the new DEF systems and everything. You have to remove the exhaust pipe to get the transmissions out. But I think, because we're not going to have to take the transmission all the way out. We just got to move it back far enough to get a clutch jack in there. Okay, so that drive line can come out at any moment. So a lot of times what I'll do is, I think my light's on, is it? There it is. You just tap on it, and these just start to come free. Oh man, my headlamp is not charged. And then this drive line, this rear one, has a sliding deal on here. The yoke slides back and forth for the suspension. So you can just slide it back and you can get it free. And then what I usually do is just take it and then put it over to the side. Alright, so now we got that one. I got my headlamp on a charger. I got a rechargeable one. And I don't know. It doesn't seem to work very good. It seems like I only get, it's not very long, it seems like. This is actually the other mechanic's one I got on my head now. And it just has AAA batteries in it. And I actually just bought them a whole new pack of batteries. So I'm just kind of stealing it. But I also brought on my big DeWalt rechargeable light. I got some extra light down here to help pretty much with you guys with the recording. Same thing, feeding it over the top of the frame rail. Somebody added those bolts in there or something sometime, because you can see this carrier bearing is new. You know what I bet it is? I bet it was the other mechanic. I bet you sometime they changed the carrier bearing. And he probably put some Volvo bolts in here. I lost the other one. He loves to do that. He loves to put Volvo bolts and stuff on everything. Alright. So the same thing up here. So we're going to pull the bolts. Just in case, just keep a hand on there, just in case you have to kind of push it to the side as it falls on you or something. And then we'll pressure on it and then tap on it. There it goes. See, now it's free. Now, little thing that I do, because the caps that are on this U-joint right here, there's a whole bunch of little needle bearings inside of it. And so what I do is I'm going to be putting this on the ground and kind of rolling it off to the side to get it out of the way. Is I like to wrap them with some tape. Just to make sure that the needles all stay, that the caps stay on there, because you can take the caps off, but sometimes when you do that, little needles go everywhere. There you go. So now we take this side, shut this down, like so. So now we're going to take the weight off of it. And basically we can just unhook our deal here. And just like that, just lower it down. Alright guys, so I actually didn't show you one step of it. I was out up on top of the truck and didn't feel like coming down here to get the camera. But before you really start on all this stuff, before you get this transmission pulled, make sure to put it in gear. Put it into some gear. Because when you go to reinstall it through in the transmission and into the clutch, you need to turn the input shaft, so you have to turn this back yoke, and if you have it neutral, not good. So the first thing I do now is I'm actually going to drain the fluid. A lot of times I have plugs that I can quick swap in there and just lose a little bit of oil, but this is a clean bucket. I have not I don't know when the last time the oil was drained or was changed in this transmission. So I have a clean bucket. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drain it. And then I'll put plugs in it. Make sure it's not going to keep leaking all the time. But I'm going to drain it, put it in the bucket, and then I'll talk to the boss tomorrow or whatever. And I'll ask him when the last time it was changed, he thinks. And If it's been a while, well, we'll just put new fluid in it. So my camera died, sorry about that. I got it plugged in now. But I got my lines all tapped off, got them capped and everything. Got plugs put in there so it's not gonna be leaking all over the place. Got my mess cleaned up because we don't want to be crawling around in oil. So now we just need to start removing stuff. And one of the things is gonna be the clutch itself, the clutch cable. What I'm going to do in that is just leave that bolt a little bit loose so I know which one it goes back on. Just got to think ahead. Not too big. Yeah. Boy, that thing is full of crud. And you just reach up in there and it's like a little piece of metal. And it's got a ball. It's like a shaft and it's got a ball on the end of it. And it fits into the clutch fork. And just sits in there and it kind of sticks in there. And you just got to kind of reach up in there. If you don't, you'll pull this out. It's not the end of the world, but you just kind of reach up in there and grab it at the same time. It's gonna. This is the battery cables. Usually a bracket on the bottom of the transmission to hold them. Same thing. We're just gonna put the bolt back in so we don't lose it, but we're not gonna tighten it all the way up. So we got our wire harness loose now. So we gotta tuck it up, get it out of our way. And we're also going to put our clutch itself with it to get everything up out of the way. And I usually use a bungee cord. That bungee cord is about ready to break. Need something to hook it on. There we go. That'll work. Okay. So everything is off the bottom of the motor. Well, except, nope. I'm mistaken, sorry. We got to take the inspection plate off. That you can see, that you can, has the grease line and everything into it. In fact, I'm just gonna make this real easy. Cut it off up in here. I'll deal with it when I get the transmission out. But I can't seem to get it out because it was broken anyways. For some reason it will not come out of that fitting. It's completely loose. Spins like crazy. Oh well. Gotta roll with it. Just keep waking our way around it. I'm gonna need a wobble. Get one here. See if we can get a couple over here. We're going to leave that one up there. You can get that one from the top. Well, guys, we are on top of the transmission now. So basically what we got to do is just remove all kinds of wire harnesses, everything that's attached to it. First thing is right on the back of the transmission here. There's a wire that is for the speed sensor. Just disconnect that. Cables. We just gotta get everything free. The actual transmission. And then there's always a, I don't know what this sensor's for. It's always on top of the transmission. I'm not sure what this one is for. There's a plug there. We just have to get everything free. And you can see why I jack up the cab. Because if this cab falls, if it comes down, everything comes down. There's no room whatsoever. It's very tight. Okay. So now I need to, oh, there's another zip tie. Okay, so that's free. That's free. So we got to pull apart our air lines that go up to our shift fork, up to our shifter inside the truck. See, I put them on frame rail here. There's just no room. There's so many hoses on these Kenworths. So now the shifter's loose. See it? So now what I'll do is I will go up inside the cab and I put a strap on the top of the shifter and I just pull it up and get it up out of my way and stuff. Okay, that one came out. Drop the washer on there. Now, I believe there's one more. And it's going to be behind that cooler. Pop loose. The transmission actually jumped away a little bit, which is going to make our job easier. So now, it's kind of nice to make sure the wheels on the transmission, there's a lot of weight on these wheels. So it's nice to make sure they're turned the right way to go backwards before you start pushing and stuff. It's actually, the transmission's coming out right now just by doing this. I don't know where my headlamp went. So now what we have to do is it's coming out very easily. So we have to make sure the forks are clearing. We're gonna make sure the forks are coming out right. so much garbage up in here. Whee. Looks like they are. Yep. As you kind of figured out, this is really a two-man job. There it goes. Everything's lined up. Okay, I am pulled out, but I can tell I'm hitting something back there. So I probably got a wire harness or something, so I'm gonna have to run around over there, make sure nothing's hooked and catching it. It's probably something. Bunch of hoses and stuff down here. It's just binding it up. That was. Okay. We got stuff here. So these lines gotta get cut. All right. So now we got ourselves a little more room. So now, I just got to pull the clutch. It's pretty easy now. Got my clutch jack out here. This is actually my personal clutch jack. I brought this all the way from Wisconsin. I threw this thing into my semi and brought it out here. We don't take that one out. Gotta take the bottom bolts out so we don't get in the way of our jack. And it's the same thing with the clutch jack. We need to get it fit. Directly in. I gotta move this light. There it goes. There we go. Alright, we're all in. So I'm going to tighten this up. So that's the angle that we're going to need. So now we can just pull the rest of our bolts out. And now I forgot a stupid pry bar for this. And yeah, I just made a video a little while ago about putting the shifting bolts back in. But we will not be using this clutch again. So we do not need to do that. Alright, here's all our bolts. And there's your clutch. A lot of guys, there are some guys that just unbolt them and drop them. But I'll tell you right now, if you drop this thing on the ground, these things are weighing about 150 pounds. They put a nice hole in your concrete. The clutch direct is great to have for putting them in. It's also good for having them for taking them out. Okay. Oh yeah, whole. This flywheel is really worn. It's got a really good lip on it. Okay. So let's get the clutch out. Hopefully it's not an asbestos clutch, right? All right, it is free. I'm gonna tell you that this thing has been in here since the day it was built. Woohoo! She's in there. Oh, just heard something. Here's my plan. Got a piece of angle iron, and I kind of drilled an oblong hole in it so that the bolt could sit in here. And this is one of the bolts that holds the clutch in. And I'm just gonna put that in there. This might work. Like that. And then run it. No, wrong way. I'm kind of pry on one side of it. I guess I was gonna make a flywheel pull it. It pulled it a little bit. So now we'll take it. We'll put it up on the top. It pulled it. What I could have done is remove the starter too. I could have removed the starter in and just used a drift on the other side. I hit it a few times, could have popped it loose, but man, these Freightliner starters are horrible. Get in and out. I'll make sure I'm going the right way, so back it off. Alright, I think we're almost loose. Top is loose. Had a driver here once. This kid was in the truck. It was the funniest situation. He watches all my videos, and he watches all my videos and stuff, and he thought I was like famous and all this. And I'm like, no, I'm just Larry. I'm all good. And he was kind of impressed with me. It was kind of funny. And I was doing something, and it was really not working out well. It'd be a big pain in the butt. And I finally figured it out. Thought popped into my head. Decided I'm going to try this. I tried it. When I turned and looked at, I turned and looked at the kid and said, "That's why I'm long haul Larry." I can always figure something out, it seems like. I think we're free here. I think it's just hanging by the bolts now. Yep. Alright. So now we're gonna try to be clever here. I don't know how this is gonna work. This might be a big fail. But I don't think my back's gonna be able to lift this flywheel. I just don't think so. And it may just go crashing down the ground. Bottom down. Hang on the top one. Hope it doesn't, because it'll take a big old divot out of the floor. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, it's hanging on there right now. Ooh, this might be how I get it back in too. It's actually on, just on that, on the jack. Okay, it's pushing back at me. I want to hold it with one hand while I do this. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. If it goes, I'm just going to let it go. Okay, right there's as far back as I can go. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I didn't think about this. This tilts down. You know, push it in. Fingers clear out of this. Okay, if it goes from here, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm not gonna hold on to it. I can't reach way up there. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. All the old guys out there going, that's working smarter, Larry, not harder. You betcha. You betcha, yeah. Hey, rear seal looks great. It actually looks new. It's got a really good lip. I mean, really good. So she definitely needs to be machined. And the pilot bearing is completely froze. I don't know if you can see me turning it there. See, I'm turning the flywheel and the pilot bearing is staying stationary. It's just turning on the shaft. So that's not good. I'm gonna have to check out the input shaft on the transmission. But here, look at here. This clutch here. Spring's tight. Well, nope. That one's loose. Look at that. That one's really wonky. Ooh, that one, I guess, look at that. Wow, I mean, I could probably grab a pliers and pull that spring out. And they're all worn too. See that? That one's tight. Got one that's tight. I'm telling you right now, this should not be doing this. But here's the bad one. Got a broken spring. Can you see that? Can you see the end is broken there? See? Got a broken spring. And you can see where they've been rubbing on there and stuff. So yeah, definitely good thing we got this drivers off and we can get a brand new clutch in there. She was making a lot of noises, and now we can see why. So there we go. Biggest part of it was getting a stupid transmission out. It was so tight in there. Trying to do this all myself, and with my back and everything. Yeah, it wasn't fun. So yeah, but we got her out. We got her done. So now I got to figure out how to get that thing. I'll probably lift it with a forklift. I know some people are gonna say, "What? Just pick it up." Hey, I got to work smart. I got to, you know, my back. I can't mess that up. So I'll probably hook a rope around that through the middle flywheel and just use the forklift and put it in the back of a pickup truck. But yeah, and then I gotta take it to Fleet Pride first thing in the morning, and they'll machine it tomorrow. Awesome. So there you go. So that's pulling the clutch, getting the flywheel, everything, and we are good to go. Now our new clutch is in. This thing is so bad. Our new clutch is in. It's ready for being picked up. It's at the same place where the flywheel is going to get machined. So when I go back to pick up the flywheel, then I'll just pay for everything in one shot. And yeah, this thing is bad. But yeah, cool. This truck will be able, I mean, this truck's going to be a nice truck. We've done a lot of stuff to it, and it's really good shape. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day, great night as you watch this here video. And if you're not, well, you can pull a flywheel out of a Kenworth t680. Bunches and bunches of fun. Or we're going to try it again tomorrow. So there you go. Point A to point B and getting a flywheel out of a Kenworth t680. Hope this helps anybody out there if they ever want to tackle this or something like that. I probably made it look really hard. It's actually really not. It's just that I'm not in the greatest shape to be crawling around up and down all the time like that. But we made her. We got her done. So I will catch you guys later. See ya.